Hi, my name is Pam Killeen, and welcome to my podcast, Circadian Reboot, where we discuss everything circadian. And today on the show, I'm pleased to announce that we have Jeff Gibson. For over 20 years working in IT, Jeff was unknowingly doing everything wrong from a circadian standpoint. Each night he was on computers, full brightness until midnight. He never got outside in the morning. He rarely spent time outside, and when he did, he always wore sunglasses, so never got full spectrum natural light in his eyes. When he started improving his light environment, his life transformed and he began feeling like a new person, physically, mentally, and spiritually. Mission now is to convince as many humans as possible to implement simple circadian and quantum light changes so that others can experience the shifts and transformation he himself has embodied. Hi, Jeff, and welcome to my podcast. It's such a pleasure to have you here, and I'm very excited to share your story with the world because your story is quite unique in the sense that your results, when you started doing circadian practices, your benefits happened quite quickly, and your eyes were wide opened after doing a few changes in your life, and now you've become a maverick in the field. You want to share your experiences with the world. You want to teach people about the importance of applying circadian habits in their lives. And I think it's important. I think your story is important to get out to the world. So it's a thrill to have you here today. Thank you.
Thank you for having me, Pam. Yeah, thanks.
And so maybe you can start by sharing your experiences with what happened when you used to work in, or you still work in IT. So you were on screens all day long, and all of a sudden you learned about something to do with circadian and you wanted to actually disprove it at first and say, oh, this is all woo-woo. And sure enough, you found out that it wasn't all woo-woo.
Yeah, exactly. That's a good way of putting it. Circadian biology, I have found through direct experience, is the biggest needle mover known to mankind. I've never felt this much of an impact on my health and happiness from doing anything at all in my life. I used to go to the gym, I would have to go to the gym 4 or 5 days a week and diet hard and stuff to keep my weight off. And now I don't even go to the gym at all anymore. I do, push-ups once in a while, play tennis, but I maintain my ideal body weight without working out or worrying about my calories and things like that. So the reason that circadian biology, I think, was so impactful for me is I completely unknowingly, to me, I was living a very circadian disrupted life and I had no idea. What I mean by that is I would wake up first thing in the morning. I work from home. So I would, I got to be online at 8. And most days I would just get out of bed with just enough time, like 7:55, just enough time to get a cup of coffee and go straight to my desk and stare at, all of my computer monitors here, just blasting artificial blue enriched light into my eyes and, never getting outside for sunrise the way that human beings always used to do through the past millennia of time. We've just become an indoor species. And then at the tail end of the day, I thought I was a night owl. So I would just be on my computers until midnight, just all of my screens on my desk here, I would have them all on at full factory settings. I mean, I work in IT and I didn't even know that night shift mode, or the night light as they call it on Windows, was even a thing that I should consider using. I didn't think changing the color temperature of my screens would do anything. So I never even considered it. But at some point last year, I think it was in March or April, I heard a podcast that opened my eyes to the idea that circadian rhythm disruption is the leading cause of most every disease that we're seeing on the planet today, including, diabetes, obesity, depression, ADHD, like all forms of cancer, neurodegeneration, Alzheimer's. And it really just explains so many things. I had never heard of any of this stuff. I had never heard of Dr. Jack Kruse before, or any of this circadian biology stuff. And it hit me like a ton of bricks. Like, when you hear an idea that just explains everything, like Occam's razor, the simplest explanation is usually the right one. it made perfect sense to me. And yet it still seemed far-fetched because to believe that the very devices that we've grown to know and love, our cell phones, our iPads, our TVs, that billions of people all across the globe are using, are what's making us sick.
It's hard to believe. I mean, it challenged every essence of who you are, because this is something you did for your career and still do, I think. You're still in
Yeah,
IT, right?
I still am in IT, yes. And, you know, once I started, so basically my buddy told me, he said, the one that recommended that podcast to me, he said, the formula is simple, dude. All you have to do is get outside in the morning for 20 minutes and, then just block blue light at night. That sets your circadian rhythm up. And as we were alluding to earlier, I almost set out to disprove this. Like, my buddy told me that his anxiety went away that he had for years, and he started losing weight without working out and all this stuff. And it's just one of those things you shrug off, like, no way, that seems too far-fetched. If this were true, everyone would know about it, right? And so I set out to kind of disprove my friend. I said, I'm going to try this for 30 days and it's not going to do anything. So I bought some red lensed blue blocking glasses. I started wearing those each night and getting outside for, I told myself 20 minutes in the morning, but this was in the middle, this was getting the longer days, like in April. And I noticed within that first week, I would be yearning to go outside in the morning because that sunlight felt so good and it was getting warmer out. And by the end of that first week, I think I was sitting outside for maybe an hour before I started work. And by the end of 3 weeks, I was taking my shirt off too, just absorbing all that morning light energy. And it really just, it affected my sleep quality. I was sleeping so much deeper. I no longer felt like a night owl. When I was wearing the blue blockers, I would start getting tired at 10 p.m. and then 9:30 and then 9. Like, after the sun goes down and you're blocking all blue light from your environment, your body will tell you that you need to go to sleep, as opposed to, I had no idea that the blue enriched light was actually keeping me up just from
Yeah,
looking
because
at
it's
it.
interfering with your production of melatonin.
Exactly.
And now your melatonin, it probably is producing itself much more effectively, and it's allowing you to relax and get sleepy and fall asleep like it's supposed to, right? And look at how many people take melatonin. And all they really need to do is honor their circadian rhythms and block that blue light at night. It's unbelievable. But there's a huge industry behind selling the melatonin pills.
Yeah, exactly. Like, we don't need to take anything exogenously that our body already naturally produces. And, I never needed melatonin pills or anything like that, but I just would never be able to fall asleep. I was tired but wired. And I guess getting back to my story, I set out to disprove this, right? And turns out I was dead wrong. Like, it worked. I felt just greater health and happiness, just more zest for life. I would pop out of bed in the morning and I would, open the blinds, and if the sun was shining, there was no clouds, I would just be like a kid on Christmas, Pam. I just felt so happy, just more connected to my environment, more connected to myself, like a kind of a deeper spiritual connection. That's a hard one to kind of explain, but it just feel more present, more human, ever since implementing these circadian lifestyle practices. And by the end of that 30 days, I was like, I told myself I'm never going back to my circadian disrupted ways of life again. And I've been on a mission since. I've been just studying circadian biology as much as possible, listening to a ton of podcasts, joining several communities, including, the Jack Cruz forums, and listening in on the Q&A calls. And, I've been kind of on a mission. You try to explain these circadian principles to people, and it's so hard to get through to people. Like they've been conditioned to live in a certain way all their life. And I've been telling everyone I know to get these red or orange lens blue blocking glasses and wear them at night. And nobody wants to hear it. It's such a weird time to be alive. You can explain to someone, look, by wearing these blue blockers, you'll reduce your risk of diabetes, obesity, depression, ADHD, all forms of cancer, neurodegeneration. You'll have greater energy, better mood, deeper sleep. And they're like, no, I'll pass.
Okay.
Orange glasses are weird. I don't want to. It's, how can you not, like, how can we explain this to people? And, through all the learning that I've done over the past couple of years, I felt compelled to share this message with as many people as possible. And I had an idea come to me as I was laying in bed one night last year for the CRD challenge. Like, a realization occurred that people are largely social creatures. And for the same reason that they don't want to wear these orange lens glasses, because they're weird and they think they're the only person that's doing them. They don't know anyone else around them that's wearing these things. That's what makes it seem weird. And that's one of the things that I honestly felt kind of weird wearing those things last year, because I was the only person around me besides one other guy that I knew on the planet who was wearing these things. And I wish that I had access to a community of hundreds or thousands of other people that were going through this transformation in lifestyle habits collectively with me. That would have been such a cool thing. And so the idea for the CRD challenge kind of came to me, and I was like, I'm not a circadian health influencer. I'm not a doctor. How am I ever going to make this work? And then through a quantum biology collective event online that I was at in the same room with Daniel White, we started messaging and we set up a time to talk about this. And I pitched him the idea for the CRD challenge. And he was like, oh my gosh, dude, let's do this. We can make this work. And he knows some great philanthropists and business partners, our newfound business partners, Avi and Lauren Jacobson. And they just figured out all of this circadian stuff recently too, and they want to share this message with the world. So since that time, we've all kind of teamed up over the last 6-7 months, and we've been developing, we got the website going. We have hundreds of other ambassadors that we've collected to join us in this mission, to try to convince as many people as possible to come to one free online learning platform and a community where you'll get to know all the other people that are taking part in this journey with you, where you can learn about the simple lifestyle changes, as I call them, that you can make that will just greatly improve the life of yourself and for your entire family, including your pets, because, no being on this planet was ever designed to see blue light or to experience any blue melatonin suppressing light after sunset. It's a completely novel new thing that's been exacerbated, especially over the past, what are we at, 16 years since the advent of the iPhone when it came out in 2008. I was one of the first people to have it, always been a big tech guy. And I just never had any idea or inkling that the color temperature of the lights that we have subjected ourselves to is causing us any kind of harm. And there's no important message. There's no more important message to share with the world than kind of what we're doing. And so, yeah,
I can't agree with you more. I mean, you're basically starting a revolution, a light revolution here, almost like a renaissance. I mean, we have to undo the damage that has been done to us through all of this synthetic lighting. And it is hard to believe. A lot of people I talk to as well, it's very hard to convince them that there's anything wrong with this lighting. But again, as the numbers grow and as people start to feel the benefits of making these changes in their light hygiene, they're going to start sleeping better, feeling better, their moods are going to improve, and it should have a domino effect. And, the thing about it all is it's very inexpensive to do these things. And it really doesn't take a lot of time, but it does take, you prioritizing your time. And so, it's a commitment. And, people are stuck in unhealthy habits, and sometimes it's hard to get them out of that.
Yeah, exactly. They've been conditioned their whole lives to think that light is just an illumination source that doesn't affect us in any way. So it's a two-part problem. One is to try to convince them, that the light itself is bad for them. That's hard enough. And then number two is, once you convince them of that, number two is they actually have to implement these circadian lifestyle habits consistently in order to feel the results. And so, yeah, there's two mountains to climb. So the first one will be just trying to convince people that this is actually bad. We've done a good job of trying to collect all of our favorite studies on this into a easy to read spreadsheet that we'll be sharing with people in the group, so that, for the naysayers, we'll clearly show them, here's hundreds of studies showing blue light suppresses melatonin. And the longer the duration and intensity of that blue light, the more your melatonin is suppressed. And, as well as increasing our cortisol levels and so many other things that are just causing us to be very ill. And, I used to think that it was just normal after the age of 30, 40, that you're just supposed to feel a little bit tired, a little bit on edge, and had no idea that circadian biology had anything to do with it. I wasn't correlating my lifestyle to any of the changes that I was experiencing in terms of less energy, just more anxiety. But it's one of those weird things that if you would have asked me several years ago, do you feel anxious? Do you feel depressed? Do you feel, lack of energy, poor mood, anything like that? I would have said, no, of course not. I feel like a normal 40-year-old should. But once I started implementing these practices, now I realized that my old normal was just completely ill. And I feel so much greater now after getting my circadian rhythm in order.
Well, essentially that's what's happened is people have normalized illness at so many different levels, and we settle for feeling not so great, right? And so when people think it's normal, they don't really have a lot of incentive to make improvements in this area. And so it's really tragic, especially where our children are concerned. And I know that you and the co-founder of the CRD Challenge, Daniel White, I know that a big commitment that you have is to help protect our children from all this toxic lighting as well. And so, it's our children that I'm so concerned about. They have their faces in these iPhones all day long. They're watching the bigger screens as well. They're going to bed at 1:00 in the morning, getting up for school. They're groggy. They're really not learning properly. They're not holding on to information properly. We have a serious, serious crisis on our hands. And I'm a big proponent of healthy eating, but I'm sorry, there's also a thing such as healthy lighting, and we have to honor that and change that and help our children basically wake up to the fact that, they're going to have to make these changes too. And we're going to have to hold their hands through this process, and they're going to put on their blue light blockers too, just like mommy and daddy, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of funny. My 3.5-year-old son is smarter or knows more about circadian biology than most doctors on the planet realize. It's kind of a funny anecdote. My son the other night, wanted to turn the lights on in his room so that he could see the little, street signs that we have posted up that he likes to look at. And he said to me, Dad, no, we can't turn the light on, no, because we're not supposed to have bright lights before bed. We can only have the red light on, or the little amber night lamp that we use. Like, my son realizes this, and 99% of doctors on the planet have no idea that this is actually a real thing. So how do we get that message out there to them? That's the most important focal point, I think, that's really going to start opening this up to patients actually going to their doctors, like Dr. Kelsey Dexter down in Tennessee. She's an endocrinologist. She just figured out all this circadian biology stuff a few years ago. And for years, she says that she's been doing wrong by her patients because she had no idea about any of this stuff, right? They come to her with thyroid conditions and endocrine issues and hormone issues. And she tells every patient, get outside first thing in the morning before looking at your screens, and then wear the blue blockers at night. If you're watching TV, change your bulbs in your house to incandescent or amber, and it's going to make a huge difference. And she's seeing greater and greater improvements in her patients, and she's having to prescribe far less medications because of the fact that those who implement these circadian lifestyle practices are actually seeing amazing results. And that's going to be the biggest needle mover in this movement, is more and more doctors actually waking up to this.
Right.
Because
And I see you've been collecting a lot of people who are waking up to this, and you have your own organization, the Light Environment Organization, and you have some people there. And also now you've been working with Daniel White on the CRD Challenge. And I mean, you must be talking to so many people who are waking up to this. I mean, dozens, if not hundreds of people are in your circle. What kind of stories, what other stories are you hearing from people that you're networking with?
oh my gosh. Well, my buddy Ryan Mitchell Brown, who's the host of the Decentralized Radio, he had an autoimmune condition that centralized medicine could not help him with. They wanted him to move to Boston for an experimental $35,000 a month treatment for his autoimmune condition. And luckily, his intuition and probably his pocketbook guided him to avoid that move to take that procedure. And he found circadian biology. He found out about mitochondrial health and how important that is. And what do you know? He cured his autoimmune condition. I've interviewed over 50 other people, and people have reversed, like just completely gone into remission from their depression symptoms, and in ways that their antidepressant medications could never help them with. So many other conditions I've heard about, like people start losing weight without diet or exercise changes. You know, Dr. Kelly Bento lost a lot of weight. Emily Raminos from your hometown lost a lot of weight. So many people just are able to maintain their ideal body weight just from implementing these circadian lifestyle habits. It's like, look back at group pictures of people at the beach in the 60s and 70s, before we had blue and rich light in the evening, when people actually got outside more than they do today. And none of those people worked out 6 days a week, and they all just had normal physiques. Now, if you saw a group of people with the type of physiques that they had back then at a beach today, you would assume, oh, they're all probably fitness gurus. They're fitness junkies. They probably watch what they eat. Nope. They had a normal light environment. That's what it was.
Right. I used to talk to my parents who are now passed, but I used to talk to my parents about their childhood and what they witnessed among their peers. So they were born in the 1930s, and they used to tell me, that nobody in their class was really off. Like the kids were all wholesome and fun-loving and learned and were respectful of adults. And, they were punctual and just had a joie de vivre about them, right? My dad used to say, there might have been one quirky kid in the classroom, but that was about it. Otherwise, everybody in the class was pretty normal and had a zest for life and learning. And then when I think back in the 60s, same thing, really. I mean, maybe one quirky kid in the class. That's about it. Otherwise, the kids in the class were all pretty, excited to be going to school and very respectful of adults. And we did our homework, and, most of my friends, they were all pretty good students, And then all of a sudden, Jeff, things started getting worse, in the next generation of kids. And that's what started making me, realize like we're in deep trouble here. Our children are so frail. They're so weak. They're broken. What's going to happen to me? What's going to happen to you as we age? Who's going to be there to take care of us? When I look at people in their 20s today or their teens, they don't have the focus. They don't have the energy to basically take care of their parents. And that's essentially in villages around the world, primitive areas. That's what they do is the village takes care of the young and takes care of the old. And yet our young are not strong enough to be able to step in and do that. And I think, it's what you said earlier, what's happened to this new normal, like it's not normal what we're seeing today. And parents are not necessarily connecting the dots the way that they should to see that they need to take upon themselves more responsibility to, embrace these changes and make sure their children are stronger. So we really do have a crisis on our hands. And I do think that fundamentally, I think in your interview at Decentralized Radio, one of you had mentioned the pyramid, right? You mentioned a pyramid shape. And at the base of that pyramid is where you have to address the light issue. And it's been a piece of the puzzle that I missed for years, as so many of us have missed for years. But once you embrace it and you learn about it, it's life-changing.
Yeah. It's one of those things that people, they don't quite realize how easy it is. It seems like some weird thing that I don't want to sign up for some whole new life where I have to. They make it seem like some really hard thing. Like you don't have to join the old order Amish and swear off electronics or not watch TV after sunset. You don't have to ride in a horse and buggy. Like it's so easy. You can still use your computers. Just use F-Lux and make their screen more red at night. It has less of a physiological impact on your body. Wear blue blockers if you're watching TV. If you're going to have a light on in the house, don't use the overhead bright LEDs, even if they're dim. Use an amber bulb or go buy an incandescent while you still can. They outlawed those August 1st last year, but you can still find them online. I bought a few cases of them. Simple changes like that truly do make a big impact. And it's just a matter of convincing people of the true magnitude of doing these simple lifestyle changes, circadian rhythm, improving lifestyle changes that will just greatly improve your overall health and happiness and reduce your risk of nearly every disease. Like people have to kind of realize, what do you want the last 10 years of your life to look like? You want to be frail and have Alzheimer's, cancer. Like nobody wants their life to be like that. And so it's just a matter of getting people to actually realize that this is a real thing. There's thousands.
Yeah, and it's funny, you and I have something in common. We both love tennis. And for years, I wasn't able to wear suntan lotion because I had multiple chemical sensitivities, which thankfully I don't anymore. But by default, I had to stop wearing suntan lotion and I was fine. I really didn't burn or anything like that. And then I knew not to wear the caps or sunglasses. So I go out and, I serve in the sun. I'm not sun sensitive, so I serve in the sun. Most of my friends, they have their caps on, their sunglasses on, they're doused in suntan lotion. And I don't know about you, Jeff, but when you play tennis, I usually try not to say anything to them. I'd love to warn them about what they're doing, but it's so critical to, get over the sun I call it like a sun phobia that we've been exposed to for so many decades. Like the other day, one of my friends said to me, "Oh, don't you wear sunglasses? You're going to get cataracts." And I went, "Sorry, it's the opposite."
Yeah, it's literally the opposite. I always used to wear sunglasses. It was just one of those things that you leave in the house, you put on your sunglasses, you don't think about it. And it's really just a look thing. It's really just a conditioning thing. And then once I realized how much better I felt just from not wearing sunglasses, I haven't worn sunglasses in the last couple years now. And then once you start learning the science behind it, where, your body takes that sunlight and creates, alpha MSH for melanocyte stimulating hormone, and it actually makes your body able to produce more melanin so that you can have more protection from the sun. So by simply wearing sunglasses outside, you're not only dimming the light and tricking your body into thinking it's actually night, but your skin is getting the impact of a day. There's a discordant action going on there between your skin and your eyes, but you're actually maybe damaging your skin more just by having that discordant relationship between what your eyes sense the light environment is like and what your skin's actually receiving. And so, yeah, I don't think I'm ever going to wear sunglasses again. I keep a pair in my car just in case I'm driving into the setting sun and, for safety reasons. But other than that, I will never wear sunglasses again, because human beings were never designed to need these things.
Right. And suntan lotion, do you have trouble teaching people about the hazards of wearing suntan lotion? Does that ever come up in conversation with your friends?
Not really. It's really, I'm kind of new to this whole circadian biology thing, and I've just started to kind of try to convince people over the past couple years. But, when it's just coming from me, I found that it's almost not worth talking about. Just people aren't responsive. I've had very little effect, but I've kind of like turned over a new leaf, and I'm like, I'm never gonna shut up about this. I'm gonna tell anybody who will listen the importance of this. And, so what if I annoy some people with some unsolicited information, so be it. But, 1 out of 10 people that actually implement these practices and feel an improvement in their health and happiness, it'll be worth upsetting or just kind of annoying the other 9 people. So yeah, I'll never shut up about this. I even bought a case of cheap safety goggles that are like $1.50 each online, and just buy cases of them, and I hand them out to anybody who will listen. They block over 95% of blue light. I've measured them with my spectrometer, and I just tell them, wear these every night for 3 weeks. And if you don't feel any improvements in your mood and your energy levels, let me know. I'll give you $100. I stand behind that statement. I haven't had one person that has come to me saying, "No, I didn't feel anything. Give me $100." Like, so it's really nice to hear messages, text messages, calls back from the people who actually started using them consistently for several weeks, because you don't feel it overnight on the first night. But for those people, it's just really rewarding to get the messages back from those people that,
Yes.
Thank you so much.
You have a beautiful family. I saw a picture of your wife and your son, and the 3 of you, I suppose, do this together. And it sounds like your son has embraced it as well. And I'm sure your wife has as well. And are they vocalizing any improvements in their health?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Just better mood, more energy, waking up easier. It's one of those things. It was a weird thing at first, like I mentioned before, where we didn't know any other couples that were wearing these blue blockers. It seemed weird. Like, are we really doing this? I wish that we would have had this community that we're building so that we could be a part of it, and just know that there's hundreds or thousands of other people out there that are also doing this. And we have a forum. We had a forum where we could ask all the questions instead of just me going down rabbit holes of listening to, 20, 30, 40 podcasts, hundreds of podcasts probably over the past couple of years, reading all the forums. Like, the idea with the CRD challenge is to give everybody the playbook up front, do X, Y, and Z. And if you want to learn about the science, here's all the science behind it too. There's nothing more important in my mind that anybody should learn about than the science of circadian biology, because it's the single most important aspect of human health. As you alluded to earlier, it's the base of the pyramid of health. It's not a little thing that we do on top to kind of help. It's the single most important aspect of our health. And oddly enough, it's the one aspect of health that nobody pays attention to. It's so weird.
Now, tell us more about the CRD challenge and the layout of it. It's going to be announced soon. Maybe you can provide some more details, website and some of the specs that are necessary, so people know what to expect if they do join up for the CRD challenge, which I would encourage them to do so.
Yeah. So the CRD challenge is a 3-week challenge. It's just a commitment. You can try to disprove this like I did last year. And basically it's a 3-week commitment to implement some simple circadian lifestyle habits, such as, early morning sunlight, getting outside first thing in the morning, the importance of teaching people the importance of blocking blue light at night and all the simple and free, easy ways to do that, as well as all of the science behind it. And, you can go to thecrdchallenge.com and you can sign up today. You can join our school community. We just started our social media launch yesterday, where hundreds of ambassadors from all over the world that are supporting us on this mission all started encouraging all of their social media followers, their family and friends to come and join in on this. And on October 20th is the first day of the challenge. And on that day, we will release like the week 1 educational content, where you'll learn all of the week 1 content. And then 7 days later, after the October 20th, on October 27th rather, it will open up the week 2 content. We'll learn more. So it's kind of like stacking health practices. If we tell them you got to do 20 different things, all different on day 1, we feel that there's not going to be less buy-in. But if we start just stacking these habits, getting them to go outside in the morning and then block blue light at night, and show them all the ways to do that and the science behind it. And then week 2, we'll stack on some more circadian practices, and week 3, some more. And, come and sign up and stay tuned. There's a whole community where you'll be able to ask all the questions that I wish I would have been able to ask, like which type of light bulbs are good. We got a blue blocking guide that we've been developing, as well as links to different, bulbs and things that we've tested with spectrometers firsthand that we know block blue light. We're not just going off of, some marketing, advertisements and stuff of what their promises are for these things. We're recommending products that we've tried ourselves and that we've tested ourselves. And there's no need to, that we're not trying to make any money on this. It's basically the only metric that we're going for is the number of lives changed on this planet, because
yeah. And I think that's fantastic. Do you have any organizations, schools, corporations, any large organizations signing up for this, or is this mostly going to be individuals?
Not any organizations to mention specifically on this call. We have been working with some to get them on board, but there will be a lot of that type of outreach, to where we're encouraging, any businesses out there that care about the health of your employees. You can encourage your employees to sign up for this, and all your employees could experience the benefits of living life in rhythm with nature all together. And you might see your productivity go up, and, increases in the energy and output and mental abilities of your employees. Like, what employer wouldn't want that? I think every human being.
Can you imagine, though, the cost of converting the lights over? I mean, it's going to be astronomical once people learn this in the schools, hospitals, corporations, car plants. I mean, can you just imagine the cost of the conversion?
Yeah, we've got a mountain of work ahead of us. I think, within the next 20 years, hopefully, most all major cities will have, circadian friendly street lamps, the way that they have in Hawaii now, and the way that many buildings along the coastline are doing now to protect the health of the sea life, so that they have less blue light in them. They're more like orange and amber colored lights. Around some coastal cities. We're going to see that same type of lighting environment changes all across the globe once people start figuring this out. But I think we're kind of a ways off from that, because everybody's in denial that this is a problem currently. So it's just a matter of waking people up to the realization of just how detrimental blue light in the evening is for not just the sea life, but for humans as well.
Yeah. And how many of your family, extended family, are listening? Are they making any changes, or is it really just yourself, your wife, and your son?
I've got my dad wearing some orange blue blockers. I sent him some because he was having some health problems that he wanted to have help with, and I told him, just try these out. You're gonna feel the difference. And I got him wearing those. I sent blue blockers to someone else in my family who had another condition that I thought would help with it, and that one, I think he wore the blue blockers, I think maybe 2 nights, and just kind of shrugged it off. So you can't reach everybody, but you know, I'm going to encourage anybody and everybody in my group of family and my network of family and friends to try this, because the idea with the 3-week challenge is that by the end of 3 weeks, from going from a circadian disrupted way of life to stacking some crucial circadian friendly lifestyle habits, people will feel the difference. And they'll hopefully, like me, never want to go back to their old circadian disrupted ways of living again. Once they truly experience exactly what it is that I'm talking about, that I've experienced firsthand, they'll never want to go back. And, hopefully this will start the movement. Then they'll try to convince their friends and family. Maybe they'll go to their mom's house who they care about and bring her some amber bulbs. Anybody and everybody that you care about, please encourage them to sign up for the CRD Challenge, and so they can have greater health and happiness and reduce their risk of nearly every chronic disease that we're seeing plaguing the planet today.
I think that's a great place to end this conversation. And I'll put the links below. You mentioned the CRD Challenge link earlier. It's www.crdchallenge.com, I believe.
The CRDchallenge.com. Yeah, there's a "the" in front. Or you can just
Perfect.
Google the CRD Challenge. It comes right to the top. Sign up and you'll get an auto-generated email showing you how to sign up for our free school community. That's SKOOL. It's a learning platform where people can join and join the thousands of other people that will be taking part in the light revolution along with you.
Excellent. And before I've been asking all my guests this, before I sign off, what is your dream circadian day, Jeff? How does that look?
My dream circadian day would be, like the nice summer days here in the Pacific Northwest where I live, when the weather's perfect and the sun comes up at 5:30. My perfect day would be just wake up with the sunrise and go directly outside and just sit and bring the baby monitor out there. And once my son wakes up, bring him outside and, eat breakfast outside, spend as much time as possible throughout the day outside, and then, block blue light at night and just have the most restorative sleep ever, because I've been building melatonin all day from the sun, and just getting that full restorative sleep, aided by all the natural sunlight that I got throughout the day, and blocking blue light at night just feels natural. It makes you feel human again, just to be outside and have an improved circadian rhythm. There's nothing better than that.
Nothing better. I agree. Listen, thank you so much, Jeff. Again, your links are going to be below in the description of the show, and I'll sign off right now. And I'm sure I'll have you back on the show.
Thank you so much, Pam. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Jeff. Thank you for taking your valuable time to join us today. The information provided on my website, community forum, and podcast is intended for informational purposes only and should not be construed as medical advice. We are not licensed medical professionals, and the content shared here is not a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. If you are seeking health advice or have specific medical concerns, we strongly encourage you to consult with a qualified medical doctor or healthcare provider. They are trained to evaluate your individual health needs and provide personalized recommendations tailored to your unique circumstances. By accessing and using my website, participating in my member forum, or listening to my podcast, you agree to acknowledge and abide by this disclaimer. We do not assume any responsibility or liability for actions taken based on the information provided herein.